Dude, I loved Crime Time.
R.I.P. in peace to
Shad
Shad
Gaspard, the hero, man.
saving his son. I hope that I either go peacefully in my sleep or I'm saving the life of my wife or son.
Yeah, that's a good way to go. I always decided that wood chipper might be a good way to go for me too, but
Well, if you need to paint a wall red,
yeah, like a what's it called? I told Lexi, I'm like, when I go, most people, they either want to be buried or cremated, turned into a tree. I want to be thrown into a wood chipper and turned into a blood splatter painting. Speaking of blood, it's going to be a bloody weekend in professional wrestling, and as we're recording this,
no,
I'm
it's
pretty
not.
sure
I'm not going to bleed.
Hear me out. Because as we're recording this right now, there is a 4-hour episode of AEW taking place on television, and
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's why. And yeah, honestly, I wish I was able to sit down and watch it today, but at least the first part of it. But anyway, there's got to be some blood on there.
Oh well, yeah, there's always blood on there.
But folks, the reason we are not talking about AEW tonight is because it's a crazy weekend in professional wrestling. There's 3 big shows.
It's true.
We're gonna break them down.
Can I mention one thing, even though we're going to talk about it on Last Week in Wrestling next week? How crazy is that? That sentence I just said. If it's your first time listening, what I just said, you're like, that is redundant. But dude, she who has no name yet has appeared in NXT. What a miss. Why was she not signed again?
I know. I almost shared, I almost shared our photo of us with her last night, and then I was too caught up on the fact that we didn't have a name to call her because she even just referred to herself as the Glamour. Watch that be her name. Watch her name be Glamour.
Why would I like that?
I don't know.
I wouldn't. But...
Also cool thing, if you guys follow Trish Stratus on Instagram.
Yeah.
She featured me and my wife in her video today that she posted. Just throwing that out there from the Arizona Collectors Convention, where Sting was there and Lita was there, and somebody proposed, I guess, in front of Sting.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Who knew that that's how you get a reaction out of your hero?
Yeah, because
this picture right here, he was quieter than a mouse fart in a church.
Yeah. Yep.
I would say don't meet your heroes, but I would do it all over again. Yeah.
I still got it.
Also, this match came out of nowhere. I shared it on the Instagram. I recommend everyone go watch it. This is my favorite kind of wrestling match. I don't even remember the event, but it just happened a couple days ago. Jonathan Gresham versus Zack Sabre Jr. They've had plenty of matches together, but this was up in Canada, whatever that promotion's called. Go check it out on YouTube. Go check our story. It was...
Also, go check out Matt Riddle versus Super Vegan at Little Jimmy's birthday party.
Yeah, we got to figure out the next Trivia Titans. But yeah, let's get down to business.
I'm hoping hold on for a second.
Okay.
If Enoch the Enlightened does listen to this episode, I'll be in California at the end of this month. If he wants to invite me to his school to go and hang out in a wrestling ring, I'll show up. I'll even let him throw me around the ring. Honest John can do some I don't know, backflips. But anyway, Enoch the Enlightened, follow him on Instagram. I'll give the guy that. He posts a lot of good content. Let's talk TNA first, because that's Friday night. Your boy is going to be there this Friday night. So the whole card isn't worth talking about, because we already talked about Trick Williams versus Elijah. Well, there's 2 things on here that I think are important to talk about, though. One of them is Santino Marella is getting back into the ring.
Yeah.
And he was just in the ring on TNA, I think last week or the week before. But this is his first singles match in a long time, I believe. And this is Robert Stone's first single match in years. I think he was Robbie E in TNA. So what I wanted to say about this is that Peak Santino versus Robbie E is everything that professional wrestling is supposed to be.
Big words.
I just think that they both are great characters, and out of all of the matches in TNA's or on TNA's Against All Odds card, I am most excited for Santino versus Robert Stone. And I also think it's crazy that we've spent a good year with Joe Hendry being the TNA champion for him to be on the mid to bottom of this card versus Frankie Kazarian. So unless there is a plan for Joe Hendry to leave soon, which I don't know his contract status. I am not Sean Sapp Ross, whatever his name is, Sean Ross Sapp.
Sean Ross Scott Stapp.
Yeah. But friend of the podcast, please hire us. Put us in your podcast system.
Open.
But I just think it's crazy that Joe Hendry is where he is. I'm hoping Elijah beats Trick Williams, and Steve Macklin versus Mance Warner is going to be the bloodiest match of the entire weekend.
Well, there you have TNA.
There's
Let's move
TNA.
on to the first event of the big day out in Los Angeles, where I will not be going. And you're like, why? Miggy's going to TNA. Why aren't you going to either of the WWE shows?
Because it's $1 million.
Yeah. And if you want to hear us go in depth on that and talk about economics, listen to our last episode. It was good shit. It was good real talk shit because it was on the fly. Anyways,
HITFE economics. That's what we're calling that.
Dude, you're such a genius. That's why I brought you on. All right, so we got Worlds Collide, the first real mashup here between WWE and AAA since they acquired them. Yeah, go ahead.
What is it? It's at 11:30 Pacific time. So what does that make? That Eastern time is 2:30.
It's 3 hours ahead. So yeah.
Not
too bad.
Yeah.
It's five matches. I don't know AAA's like TV schedule, so I don't know if they'll have any more matches announced by then. I don't think WWE. I mean, maybe you'll get one on SmackDown, but I don't know. But you were mentioning how you don't even know who some of these people are, right?
So the first match is in here, right? And this will be interesting to see how WWE feels about AAA. This whole show will be, because if WWE has the option to either put all of their stars over,
right,
which I guess the AAA stars are their stars still because they bought AAA, or they could just really make AAA look like it is a secondary, like what is it called, the fourth brand.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you're watching. I'm very excited though to see some of these guys, because there are some of these guys that I have no idea who they are. I know the LWO is taking on Octagon Jr. I know who Aerostar is because Aerostar has been on AEW for sure. But I was watching NXT last night, and Mr. Iguana seems like the most interesting guy out of all of them. The dude has an iguana puppet, and he was sitting there just petting his hand and making the iguana go like this. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that.
What are the odds that one day you get that iguana and the cobra in the same ring?
0.
Now that Santino's back to a full-time schedule, he's traveling, never sees his family anymore, all that kind of stuff.
0. Well, he has his family. I mean, his daughter is, been on TNA lately too.
Father-daughter tag team or whatever.
Who she lost her match last night, but she put on a pretty good match.
Yeah, dude. I
Um,
also like the. I don't know if it's the same match where I lost my spot on the internet webs. But dude, Psycho Clown. Oh, that's in a
yeah,
different match.
it's a different
Dude,
match.
that guy looks fucking crazy.
Yeah,
He's going up against let's see. Well,
him.
he's teaming with El Hijo del de Dr. Wagner Jr. God, dude, these
Yeah,
El Hijo names, bro. It started off with, Nacho Daddy and El Hijo del Super Ramses Jr.,
Junior.
who I guess, was a one time thing because now Freddy's back, but I
Yeah,
digress. And they're going up against Legado del
Legado del
Fantasma.
Fantasma. So Santos Escobar, I think I don't know if all of these guys, but Santos Escobar for sure has wrestled in AAA before.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what his name was beforehand, but I think that this is going to be a sleeper match. I think that these guys all have a lot to prove, especially Santos Escobar out of any of them. Um, I do think it's kind of yeah. I do think that Psycho Clown, Dr. Wagner Jr., and Pagano go over, but I think that this is going to be a very exciting match to watch.
All right.
I also think that Ethan Page versus Ray Phoenix versus Javon Evans versus Laredo Kid is going to have three dudes jumping all over the ring, and then Ethan Page. And I think that
I love Ethan
now, if
Page,
you're
though, bro.
WWE, do you put this championship on Ray Phoenix, or do you just put Ray Phoenix in the match because you don't have anywhere for him and have him not take the pin, have somebody else take the pin? Because it doesn't make sense for Ray Phoenix to be in this match unless he's going to win, but it also doesn't make sense for him to win because he's not going to NXT.
I don't necessarily. I think I think Ethan Page wins. Um, and like you said, it's just Ray Phoenix doesn't take the pin. I don't think it has to be much deeper than that because people are just there to see the worlds collide. So I think in this situation, there's not really a whole lot of consequence to having Ray Phoenix in the match just because. I mean, with all due respect to Ray Phoenix, a lot of the stuff he does is just because kind of stuff, anyways. Like, he's got that Power Ranger wrestling thing going on, which is super
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And I think he's perfect in a fatal four-way match like this. So,
That's a good point. Um, what else do we have? Oh, Stephanie Vancouver and Lola Vice versus Cheek Tormenta and Dallas. Um,
hey, I got a
Stephanie,
question for you, by the way, regarding Stephanie.
yeah,
Now, I know we say Masha.
yes.
I know we say Gian Cena. Who else? Who else's name do we say?
Um, we call Lyra the Bird Lady,
That's true. So I'm noticing a
but
little discrepancy in the way you say Stephanie's last name and the way commentary says her last name.
isn't it Vancouver?
It's Vaquer.
Vaquer. Oh,
I see. I want to see. I didn't know if you were just doing, a masha
no,
with Vaquer because it's liqueur,
no. My
So
dumbass
I
just
just,
took 6 years of
so
Spanish and can't pronounce Vaquer.
I've just been letting you say it because
Yeah.
but I never actually knew. So okay. Well, let's talk about Stephanie Vaquer's match.
Well, I think it's interesting here too because I don't think AAA doesn't have many women on their roster. We talked about that, I think, either last episode or the episode before. But what they do have in this match is Stephanie Vacour. And yeah, I don't know, Demon Lady, because she has the demon
There you
horns.
go. There you go.
Goat Lady and Bird Lady. We'll call her Goat Lady because there's
Goat
mountain
lady.
goat. Yeah, Goat Lady. Um, but I think that of the whole entire weekend, even if she loses this match, it has to be Lola Vice that takes the pin. But out of the whole entire weekend, she is going to be this is going to be the biggest breakout weekend in a long time for a professional wrestling superstar, and it's going to be her because
She's
not
just got
only
the it factor,
she's
bro.
she's one of possibly two people that are wrestling in the morning and at night. And I think it's a risky move with the Money in the Bank match, but she's in the Money in the Bank match and in this match. So yeah, I think it's interesting. This will be interesting to see because I don't know who they have win here because I think that it'd be important to have the AAA girls win this match. But at the same time,
I bet you see
unless
a
they're gonna have
story. I
what,
see an angle play through both events.
which could cost Stephanie to lose the Money in the Bank. But we'll talk about that in a minute because I want to talk about the other match at the end of the night, which I also think it's interesting too that you don't have Penta, you don't have Rey Mysterio. Well, Rey Mysterio I think is hurt, but you don't have Penta, you don't have Andrade on this card. Um,
That's true.
Carlito should have been on this card, but especially if they're bringing in Savio Vega, I heard. But then I don't know what's going on out there. There's Benson Boone
I couldn't
playing.
hear
There's
anything.
boxes being thrown around.
Nice.
But what else? Yeah, and then Chad. What I find hysterical, and it is the main event is Chad Gable versus Vikingo. But in the Money in the Bank match is El Grande Cafe Americano with a double shot of espresso. And
Think
I just
about
think
me. Think about you. Think
I just
about
think
me.
some Sabrina Carpenter. Um, I just think it would be great if I think it would have been great if you had uh, El Grande Americano on the AAA card and have it vice versa. But I also think it plays so much better into Chad Gable's character to have him be on it and lose this match.
Well, because remember, Chad Gable is the one who left to go learn the ways of Lucha.
Yeah.
So, yeah, storyline wise, this makes sense for Chad Gable.
But I just think that it's crazy to I just think he's crazy too. If Grande Americano is Chad Gable, I know Grande Americano wrestled in boots that said CG on Monday Night Raw, but it very well could have been Chelsea Green's boots. So, yeah, or I don't know anybody else, any other wrestlers named CG.
Well, then let's move over to
Yeah,
that's the whole card as of right now.
that's
So
the whole
let's move
card.
over
Vikingo
to,
wins. He's going to be the face of AAA, unless
yeah,
Alberto. Dude,
he's
how?
the guy.
What do you think the backlash
I don't even want
would
to
be?
talk about.
The
Well,
backlash.
He was just on a TV show and he like went ape shit on some reporter or whatever.
No, but the reporter was related to Vikingo. I think it was all a work.
It is a work. So I read in the comments that it's not uncommon for lucha libre angles to be started on like daytime talk shows like that, which is cool.
It is.
You know,
cool.
how cool would it be if Seth Rollins and was on the Today Show and out of nowhere CM Punk just came out and started beating shit out of him? You know what I mean? That's
It would be amazing.
If he showed up, I would watch AAA even less than I do right now, which is I don't.
You know who else should be?
Stand that guy.
You know who else should be on there though too? Have something to do with being on there? Damian Priest.
He's Puerto Rican.
I mean, I'm just saying if you're bringing in Savio Vega, who's very famously Puerto Rican. I don't know.
Oh, well,
I just think,
maybe I'm dumb.
I think it would be cool if they did like if WWE would to bring in a bunch of Hispanic legends to be featured or to do something cool. Like, you throw Juventud, Super Crazy, Psychosis. I don't know. I'm just throwing out, I guess, the Mexicools.
I don't need to see Juventud again because when I watched him go against Jericho on Dynamite, um, when he was feuding with MJF.
Yeah.
I thought Jericho was gonna die. And
He I
yeah.
will say this about Juventud Guerrero. When I was meeting Enzo at WrestleCon, Juventud Guerrero walked in front of me and then interrupted my conversation, which is okay.
Yeah. Well, the
He
juice
earned
was
it.
loose.
Yeah, he earned it. All right, let's break down this Money in the Bank
Yeah.
travesty here.
Let's start off with what I think is the least interesting match out of the four that they were asking us to pay
Well,
$300 for.
and you said something interesting though, about like unless something happens on SmackDown. I
Right.
honestly think what they're setting up here on SmackDown, which I'd like to see, is a Fatal 4-Way tag team match.
Why not? Just
Between,
throw more people in
yeah,
the
I mean,
ring.
just to add in a different match.
All right.
But
Well, as of right now, we got the four, and what I think is the least interesting match by far is the tag match between Jay and Cody,
yep,
Logan Paul and John Cena.
it's stupid. It's stupid. I
If
hate it.
if they weren't dangling the final boss around, and it's very carrot and stick, this story, and I have no faith that there will be the payoff it deserves. And so I'm
Yeah,
not interested in the story. I'm sorry. It's that bad. I hate that I'm saying it, but it is what it is.
I agree.
Who do you think wins?
I think there's a disqualification.
Oh, okay.
And
How so?
what I'm worried about is that this is going to be the main event. I'm
I can
here.
see that.
Here's my biggest fear here. That somebody wins the Money in the Bank, men's Money in the Bank earlier in the night, comes in to cash in at the end of the night, and then loses. I think the only person, looking at the men's Money in the Bank match, right? You have LA Knight, Penta, Andrade, Solo, Chad or Americano, and Seth Rollins.
Dude, it has to be Seth.
It has to be. Unfortunate. You know how cool it would be for it to be. I think it may be a little bit too late for LA Knight, but what a revamp
Yeah.
it would be for Andrade. And if anybody deserves it, it's Chad Gable. But it's probably going to be Seth, and I'm worried that one of two things is going to happen. That because you look at it this way, Jey Uso is fighting in this match on Saturday night, and then on Monday for $500 and $900 million in Phoenix, Arizona, he is fighting Gunther for the championship. I see Seth Rollins winning and cashing it in on Monday, if anything. But I do not want Seth Rollins to win this match. If there's anybody I want to win this match, it is Cafe Grande Americano, and I would love that. I think that I know that WWE loves this character and they want to send him down to the Gulf of Mexico and then call it the Gulf of America and do all whatever they want to do with him. I think the perfect scenario is you have Chad Gable win the Money in the Bank as Grande Cafe Americano and take the mask off at the top of the ladder.
That could work. I just don't. The reason I think it has to be Seth isn't because I want it to be Seth. It's
The
just
only person that makes sense.
you got, yeah, I'm thinking, okay, who's going to be on the main event? Whose picture is going to be on the side of the stadium because, they're in the position they are. It's too late for LA Knight. Solo is
Dead in the water.
the weakest he's ever been. Penta, the thing about Penta is it would be so cool and people would be so happy, but if Penta loses, you're going to love him the same. So you're not getting anything if you put the Money in the Bank on Penta, I don't think. I could be wrong, but that would be a shock, I think.
Yeah.
Andrade, I think he's kind of like Solo, kind of dead in the water. El Grande Americano makes sense if he reveals himself as Chad Gable. I don't want him walking around with the mask on with the briefcase.
No.
If it is Seth, now this is interesting. Seth is fighting for the future. He's trying to make WWE, his vision. And if he goes after the World Heavyweight Championship, okay, he's got great. But you got John Cena, the greatest of all time, saying he's going to ruin wrestling and retire the WWE Championship. If you're Seth and you want to lay this foundation and the vision for the future, wouldn't you go after Cena?
No.
I mean, Seth has held the World Heavyweight Championship before. It was made because Roman was so great, and they gave it to Seth.
Because I say no because, this is giving WWE way too much credit, but there's just so much history over the last 5 years between Seth Rollins and Jey Uso.
That's true. But that's what I'm saying.
But you know what I would really love? Have him interrupt the match between him and Gunther, and then Gunther get pissed off, and we get Gunther and Bronson Reed or Braun Breaker, and one of those matches out of it. But I don't know. I think we are both in agreement that it ends up being Seth, which I think is dumb. It's gonna be a boring night with the exception of the other two matches that are on the card. I think that the women are gonna steal this show. I don't even care who wins between the Bird Lady and Becky Lynch. I think that is going to be Yeah, but I think
she's doing too good. Becky is, Lyra, and you hear wrestlers and people talk about how the older talent has to get the newer talent over, and I'm not saying Becky's not doing that, but Lyra is going on offense every time she's on the microphone. She's not clapping back at Becky. She's stepping the fuck up.
But so hear me out, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but they've brought up Seth Rollins she's brought up Seth Rollins in every single one of the promos. How badass would it be for Paul Heyman to somehow cost Lyra the match and have Becky win and go and join Seth? It only makes sense for her to join Seth's thing and win this match.
Okay, so if that does happen, which would be really great. You would invest me into Seth Rollins if you got Becky in, because that's something we never thought we'd see. So if you want to get me, someone who's bitching about how boring it is, back in, pull that trigger. But the payoff has to be a mixed tag match, and someone has to go up against Seth Rollins, someone like CM Punk. And is he going to get someone like his friend Roxanne? No, she's with Judgment Day.
That's who it would be.
Unless he just teams with Lyra.
Yeah, or
he gets his wife.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would love it for AJ Lee, but I don't think that happens. I think if AJ Lee comes out of retirement, it's for a match with Roxanne. But I also think down the line it makes sense to have a Cody and Brandy versus them too, because Brandy can wrestle.
It's true. It's been a minute though. Does she even want to wrestle?
Probably not. But I mean, she's wrestled in
probably not. But you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, she's wrestled. I mean, I guess it's been longer for AJ Lee than it has Brandy.
Yeah, because Brandy wrestled. Well, she was at least doing stuff in AEW.
Yeah. Taking bumps.
Let's go over
what I think this should be the main event of the whole entire weekend. I am the most intrigued about this match. I think it's going to be the best match.
This is a stacked match.
It is. Because you have, look at it this way. You have the three women that WWE just brought up from NXT versus three women that have held down WWE for the last 10 years.
And Alexa Bliss has been gone, and
for two of them, yeah.
And that's a long time to be gone.
Yeah, and then
when they brought her back, they didn't use her.
Naomi left, and she still came right back and was on the top of the card.
Now, who do you think is going to win? Because I'm seeing a lot of like Chris Van Vliet put out a poll, and everyone said Naomi was going to win. But
So
I don't
you
know.
have ooh,
If I'm marketing this briefcase and trying to get it sold in arenas for the next couple months, I'm putting it on Rhea and I'm painting
why
it black and I'm putting
why
spikes
am I
on it.
blanking on who the two women's champions are? Tiffany Stratton and Io Sky, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Um.
And Liv is looking out for Io. She's got her in the
Yeah.
crosshairs.
Now what makes sense, I could see a couple of things happening. I could see them going full send on Roxanne or Julia. I don't think Stephanie needs it. I think if anything, would probably be Roxanne over Julia. Though I think the Julia and Io Sky match is going to be one of the best matches in wrestling history. Or at least contender for the How Is This Fake Imaginary Awards we came up with at the end of the year. I also think it makes sense for Rhea to win it and then cash it in right away against Io, and then they'd probably run back. Then also with Roxanne too, you could have Roxanne win, cash it in on Io, and interrupt the match between Liv. Like let's say Liv, because it plays in the story, right? Fantasy booking here. Liv gets a title shot. There already is all this turmoil between Roxanne and Liv. What if Roxanne cost Liv the championship by cashing it? Or what if Liv were to beat Io and then Roxanne come out right away and cash it against Liv and then kiss Dominic? I don't think Naomi's gonna win it. But I do think. I mean, I think Naomi deserves to be in this match. That leaves only one person we haven't talked about yet, and I have my favorite scenario here. That's not gonna happen, but I want to hear if you have anything else to say before I dumb down our conversation.
No. I just this one's a lot harder to pinpoint than the men's, just because the character size in this match is. I mean, Rhea Ripley is probably the most popular wrestler outside of CM Punk that the WWE has. Alexa Bliss is a forever babyface. She's like Rey Mysterio at this point. And then, like you said, the three talents they brought up from NXT are arguably, at least Stephanie and Roxanne are probably the two best. I don't know. Would you say they're top 5 NXT call-ups? Women's NXT call-ups? Roxanne's got to be up there. Yes.
No.
Oh. Well,
but I would. Well, let me say this.
Kidding.
I would probably, just because of what I know about the independents, I would probably put Stephanie Vacuer, whatever her name is, in that conversation. But you got to think, look at Rhea Ripley, look at Charlotte Flair, look at Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch. There's just too many that have come out of that.
That's true. That was a big.
I think you can throw them in the top 10. Ooh, I drooled. I think you can throw them in the top 10 conversation, but not. But I don't know if you could put any of them in the top 5. Anybody in this match in the top 5 except for Rhea. I would actually put Rhea as number 5.
All right. Well,
I think Charlotte is probably the best.
We'll get a breakdown of that list.
But let me
episode, because I got about 20 seconds, buddy.
Oh, the Wyatt Six have to come in and help Alexa Bliss win. Follow us everywhere. HITF Pod.
Adios, compadres.
Later.